High in the hills of Boquete, Panama, Altieri Specialty Coffee is a family-run farm where tradition meets change. Today we explore their coffee journey and the impact of a shifting climate. So how much coffee does Altieri produce?
We expect 15 tons of total with all the varieties. Caturra, Catuay, Typica, Bourbons, Geisha. We are in the middle of a Geisha Plantation right now. We're going to produce close 7 tons this year.
Oh, wow.
So they're saying they need to harvest this tomorrow. There's a lot of very red, very ripe cherries on the tree, and looks like it's a perfect time to harvest.
As you go up the mountain, it gets colder and colder, and there's a bigger temperature change that happens during from day to night. And the nice thing about that is it kind of stresses the trees. And as we stress the trees, some of the theories are it puts more energy into each cherry. So the harder the growing conditions, some would theorize, is better for the quality of the coffee, but it'll lower the amount of coffee that's coming off every single tree. And some producers actually, on purpose, will trim branches to send more nutrients to another branch and another cherry to hopefully increase the quality and the cup score. So lots of interesting things go on. Let's keep walking up and see what's going on. All right, this is pretty interesting. Very top mountain here. We got 2 trees planted 1 year ago. This guy's struggling a little bit. It's more out in the open. Doesn't have as much shade. You can see it's taking on a lot more sun. So struggling a little bit versus this guy, quite a bit bigger, planted at the exact same time. Interesting enough, already producing some cherries. So the difference of where it's planted, the soil it's getting, how much sunlight, all has an impact on your cup of coffee. So there's been a lot of rain this year. What does that mean to like coffee cherries and the production?
Normally, the plant needs sun to the photosynthesis process. With enough sun, the ripening period delayed. We have a really light crop right now, and will be a long harvest too. We have green bean. We need like 2 more months
For those to ripen?
Yes.
Wow. When would picking end usually? Like
End of March, beginning of April. But I think we're going picking end of April, maybe beginning of May. Maybe 1 month later.
So the rains are extending the picking season.
I think the effect, because the plant need sun, need the change and everything to start with the ripening period. For the next year could be a problem in the other farm. Right here we are okay, because the plant need a clear dry season. After a clear dry season with the new rains, start the flowering. If you don't have a really clear dry season,
The tree is confused on what
yes,
season
and the next year will be a problem with the flowering and the production too. It's a big challenge, everything around the water.
We can see this is a different varietal of coffee, yellow Catuai, I'm assuming, and starts green and then ripens into yellow. And right here, the rain has caused this cherry to split, and that's really unfortunate. And usually this happens near the bottom, but this one's split, and what that means is now water and bacteria is getting in there, and that's going to affect the quality of this. So what starts to happen is it's producing cherries, but it also, you can see here, it's trying to start flowering. And what that means is the same cycle is happening at the same time. So the tree is very confused, where if it was summer and lots of heat, this would be all cherries. They'd be all ripening ideally at the same time, and there'd be no flowering going on. So it's one of the troubles, challenges that producers have with the change in weather. Okay, not quite purple enough. A little bit of this side is the true story of how ripe the cherry is. So when you're pulling it off, the back side is what you want to look for. This one's not looking so great, but you can see the difference in color already. So quite a bit deeper. It's gone on a little too long. Inside those beautiful, beautiful seeds, there's still mucilage around it. You can see, look at that. This one has 3.
Wow.
So a little bonus seed for you. So sometimes that happens. You have weird mutations, different reasons why this goes on. Different varietals also produce different sizes. So this is Geisha, quite a bit bigger, but there's different varietals. We're a different farm, they grow mocha. It's very, very small. You can physically see the difference, which is always really cool to see.
All right, we're just walking into the drying beds here at Altieri Estate. We'll see the cold rooms where they're purely controlled climatic conditions, no exposure to sunlight. Where here, you can see we're out in nature.
We've got freshly picked coffee cherries. They come into these beds, and the team will actually rotate these. They'll constantly be moving them, and it's quite warm in here. The temperature difference can be when it's raining. Obviously, it drops in temperature, and these coffees can take up to 20 to 30 days to dry. So once they believe this is done drying, you actually crack it open, and inside you have parchment. So this is parchment, and this seed is inside of this, and it's a protective layer. And so lots of coffee producers will keep the coffee in parchment for quite a while. So maybe up to 2 or 3 months after they've done all the processing. Then it goes to a facility called dry mill, which actually removes the parchment like this. And inside you get a green bean. And that's what every roaster in the world receives and shows up. So here we have a beautiful washed coffee. So what's happened is the team has chosen to remove the coffee cherry, which looks like this. And what will happen is it'll sit on these beds and dry. This will probably take 20 days. It's quite deep in the bed here. And the team will rotate this washed coffee, and this will create a nice clean cup of coffee, more consistent like classic coffee. So lots of coffees will be based on the washed or natural process based on the weather. Today it's a nice warm day. The pickers are out at the farm, and we were just talking with the team, they're gonna choose to do a bunch of naturals today because of the weather. When it's hot, it allows the coffee to dry much quicker. It's quite fascinating to see all the steps that go into this is a delicious beverage that we drink every day.
Okay, we're in a unique little room here on the farm at Altieri. This is where they do river flow fermentation. So what happens here, they have a little offshoot of the river that's coming in to create this natural pool. Roger was saying it's about 12, 14, 16 degrees at night, so it stays very cool, and you can see it's protected from the sun. We just cupped a coffee that was a 5-day river flow fermentation. Very delicious. The bags would be tied, so it's technically an anaerobic fermentation. You can see in the water there's some twist ties that have been broken. As the fermentation is occurring in that anaerobic state, there's going to be a release of gases that occurs.
I think, like you're saying, a lot of neat innovations going on in the coffee industry, and producers are kind of pushing the limits on different ways to control fermentation, turn on or off fermentation, and those are creating lots of like unique flavors in the cup. And I've never seen this before. I don't know, you have?
I've seen it in video, I've never seen it in action, but I think it's a really cool idea. All right, so we just left the river flow fermentation room, and now we're standing next to the river. This is the Rio Paloma. This runs next to Altieri's beneficio and smaller scale farm, and is the offshoot of the river flow fermentation. Before this was coffee, this was an ice factory. So all of the water for their ice would have come from this water source, and this water source, I would assume, is feeding a lot of the town of Boquete with clean drinking water. Rio Paloma. All right, so Dan and I are currently standing in one of the cold rooms, drying rooms, dark rooms, whatever you want to call this particular room. Everybody's got a little bit of different language associated with these rooms. This particular room, you can see there's air conditioner, there's a dehumidifier, there's movement in terms of airflow going through all of these beds. And you can see that these guys are trying to finish this particular lot. We're right down to 12% moisture, so they might want to bring this down to 11 or 10% to consider it dry. I don't know exactly their processes here at Altieri. These would be more established parts of the farm, like Dilgo we had on our menu last year, Tom we've had on our menu before. So these are parts of the farm that are a little bit more established. and you can see just beautiful cherry drying. It smells great in here. I wish we could translate the smell on camera. It smells fantastic in here. This is the future of coffee drying is happening in rooms just like this one.
Altieri Specialty Coffee offers a look at how producers in Panama are adapting to shifting conditions while preserving the craft and quality of their coffees.